put it right by, no, excuse me, not the consent agenda. I would like to move the executive session to the top, right behind the consent agenda where the chairperson's report is.
Okay.
Does anybody have any objections to that?
Mr. Streetman, can I stop you for just a second to make sure the stream's going?
Oh, I thought you already had it going. Yes, sir. That will be fine.
Okay, I caught about the second half of your first statement. Could you start over?
Okay, yes, sir. Before we get into this thing, on the agenda here, I would like to move that executive session to kind of the top of the agenda and put it right there in front of or behind, and move everything down from the chairperson's report down. So have the consent agenda be executive session be item 5, and then the reconvene from executive session, whatever number you need to make that, Margaret, to make it come out.
Do you need a motion? Do you need a motion?
Yes, you will need a motion.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we move the executive session in front of the ahead of the consent agenda.
Actually, ahead of the chairperson's report, Tom.
Ahead of the chairperson report. Okay.
Please. Okay, do we got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second. Who seconded it?
I think Jimmy was first.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't have my camera, so but I do have the voice. So
okay, we've got that. Now let's go back here and let's start all over for one thing. Okay, let's do our roll call.
All right.
Yeah.
And then we'll adjust the agenda right quick.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Miss Teresa Stevenson.
Here.
Mr. Tom Sidwell.
Here.
Mr. Jimmy Sandoval.
Here.
Mr. James Streetman.
Here.
And Miss Liz Estrada.
Here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, before we go any further, we got a motion on the floor in a second to move the executive session on the agenda from where it is all the way up to where the chairperson's report is sitting. So do we have a motion to, we have a motion by Tom and a second by Jimmy to move that executive session. Can we do a roll call, please, on that?
Yes. Miss Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
Miss Estrada.
Yes.
Mr. Streetman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Now, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Liz Estrada, so move.
Teresa Stevenson, second.
Okay, roll call.
Okay. Mr. Streetman.
Yes.
Miss Estrada.
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell. Mr. Sidwell.
Excuse me. Yes.
Okay. Miss Stevenson.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried to approve the agenda as stated.
Okay. Yeah, as amended. Okay. Comments from the public on this agenda?
Mr. Larry Wickham has stated there are no public comments at this time.
Okay. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the minutes from the past meeting? But I guess before I go that far, are there any additions and corrections we need to make to those minutes? Okay. If we don't have any additions or corrections to them, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the last meeting, November the 16th?
Teresa Stevenson, so moved.
Okay. In a second, please.
Jimmy, second.
Roll call, please.
Miss Estrada.
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Streetman.
Yes.
And Mrs. Stevenson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. That being said, do we have a motion to go into an executive session for limited personnel matters as described in this litigation, and there's some property we need to talk about too as well. So do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion that we go into executive session.
Okay, and a second, please.
Liz Estrada, second.
Roll call.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Mr. Streetman,
Yes.
Ms. Estrada.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. I guess with that being said, let's move into executive session. So we need to keep the board here, Dr. Bush, and I'm not sure who other your guests are that you want to keep here.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Dr. Don Stanoff and Dr. Doug Hawks to join us in executive session.
Okay. So if everybody else will drop out, Larry will have Dr. Bush call you because my cell phone is just acting crazy right now the last couple of
Related. I have a splinter.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Okay. Oh, there's Mrs. Bush. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. Thank you, Mr. Streetman.
Good. Very good. Okay, we have Larry. You getting the streaming up, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir. Just waiting for it to catch up.
Okay. Well, you can let us know when it gets caught up. And
Stream looks good.
okay. Do I have a motion to reconvene from the executive
You
session?
want to log back in, please?
Yeah, I make a motion to reconvene from the executive session.
Okay. And do we have a second, please?
Second.
Who was that?
Liz Estrada, I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, we got to remember she's not seeing us very well.
You
So,
know I'm
okay.
not. I hear you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Streetman,
Yes.
Ms. Estrada,
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson, Ms. Stevenson.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. And the motion carried to reconvene.
Okay. Yes. At this time, there's no action to be taken on what was discussed in executive session.
Okay.
We will be setting up a special board meeting for November the 30th at 5:30 p.m.
December.
December.
Excuse me, December. Yes, thank you. At 5:30, and we'll be bringing out the part of the items that we discussed, all except for the personnel issues. And we'll go from there. That being said, let's move forward with Dr. Bush's report, please.
Larry, would you please reach out to Matt Hughes? He's not able to get into the meeting.
Yes, sir. I will.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and members of the board. I'm going to keep this incredibly brief. We've gone a long time tonight. We still have several things to hit on. You do have my report in your packet, and I'm not going to read those details to you. I just want to hit a couple of high points, and also so we can move forward. surprisingly, we've been very, very busy lately with some good news there. But one piece I want to mention, and I must mention to you, is that I have been selected by the national organization, by the Bill and Melinda Gates, to serve on a national advisory committee representing Hispanic serving institutions. I am the only president representing Hispanic serving institutions as it shapes the agenda for minority serving institutions. So there are other presidents on there who represent HBCUs or historic Black colleges and universities, but I am the only one to speak up for Hispanic serving institutions. So I'm very proud of that. But more importantly, I needed you to be aware of it because I get a small stipend to attend 3 meetings. So anyway, so in being in full transparency and disclosure to the board, you need to know, because it is my responsibility to inform you that I will receive a small stipend for participating in these 3 meetings that the Gateses are doing as we look at ways to improve student success for minority students at minority serving institutions. I want to mention as well, since writing my report, there has been progress made on in our last meeting discussing the payroll system. So working with Ms. Gillard, we found a lady, name is Victoria. Natalie can probably give us the last name. I'm sorry, I can't recall. She has been working on campus. What we discovered when we got into the process of preparing our payroll system to switch over to a third party is that our payroll system was not ready to be switched over to a third party. It was going to take some modifications to the system and to make it work. And so anyhow, Victoria is doing that. We also then have received now 3 estimates for the third party payroll. So I think, and Natalie can address this in her area if she'd like, I think we're ready pretty soon, because she's working over Christmas break, I believe, as well, to get the system ready to convert. And then we'll take one of the 3 groups to do third-party payroll. There are a number of things that I've been involved in, including working with some of our local entrepreneurs, in expanding renewable energy, participated in a number of areas to grow our workforce development and the micro-credentials and the certificates for the college. This is going to be a game changer for the local community and being able to expand our technical education, as well as opening up to the trades. We are very excited to begin returning a lot of training back into the trades. So we're looking forward to that. I was also invited and selected to participate with the U.S. Department in Presidential Leadership Executive Session. So I met with a small group with the U.S. Secretary of Education. So we talked about what we needed to do to improve resources to HSIs and RSIs, rural serving institutions. And so there was a lot of good positive information and a positive energy there. It's put us in a position now that they're giving us a lot of information regarding grants and additional funding that we may be able to acquire as we move forward. But I also am particularly proud, not for myself, but for this college, that there are now places like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the U.S. Department of Education is looking at Mesa Lands as one of the leaders, and that's a really good thing. I also need to point out to you, just as a reminder, that in February, the ACCT, the American Community College Trustees meeting in Washington, D.C., this is a governmental meeting. It is for the trustees as well as the presidents. And if you're interested in going, you need to let me know, and I will take care of getting you set up to go. I know Mr. Sandoval has already asked me about it, and I think his intent is to participate in that meeting. But any of the rest that would like to participate, please don't hesitate to let me know. I also have been at the legislature a lot lately, and also in a number of meetings with our state representatives and senators. And I was also at the annual Eastern New Mexico Educational Resource Center legislative dinner, where I had a great opportunity to meet with some of the senior executives from HED, the Higher Education Department, as well as a number of the legislature, and shared some of the issues that are before us and what we need from them. I've also been working with CNM, Central New Mexico College, on the process of the name change. They went through this process, and so we have some really great resources there to assist us as we move forward in simply deleting the word community from our official name. And so that process is moving along. As I mentioned, on November 30th, Workforce Development and others have been working with a couple of entrepreneurs in town that would be expanding our Center for Innovation for Renewable Energy, that would expand us from 3 forms of renewable energy: wind, solar, and battery, to 5. If this happens, there's no doubt that we will be the national center for renewable energy. I can't think of another place that has 5 forms of renewable energy being taught and delivered. Jim may know of one, but I can't think of that. I think there's some real good hope there. A lot of work going on within that area. And I just wanted to let you know that we did hold, because we have a number of things happening and more things are happening to prepare us for the spring semester. We did have an all-faculty meeting last week, and that went very well as well. We have nearly completed all of the new faculty hires, and we'll get those names and information to you. But one name I do want to release to you tonight is that we are very pleased and really very, very lucky to have hired our executive director for Hispanic outreach and student support. This is going to be an incredibly important position. In fact, this person will be reporting directly to me and will from time to time be participating in the executive staff, because it is driving home and taking care of what we need to do to serve our local Hispanic community as an HSI. The person serving in that role is not a foreigner to you folks, and she is an incredibly wonderful and delightful lady by the name of Dr. Maria Haas. So look at your faces. Everybody knows her. And so we're very, very lucky. She comes to us bilingual, which is part of our goal, to be able to serve the primarily the dominant Spanish speaking community, as well as being able to help us in our functionality at the college, across the college, be able to serve primary Spanish speaking students as well. But she is also leading a lot of the recruitment and the work to serve our Hispanic community, as well as the other marginalized students and students who have themselves where obtaining education is particularly difficult for them, like first generation students, low income students, non-traditional, and so forth. Okay, that's my particular report. I do believe there's more on the agenda.
Okay, who's on the dial-up?
That's Millen. He'll be giving, you a report just in a moment about what's
Okay,
happening.
I just didn't see a name that wasn't sure who it was. So anyway,
I recognize the area code.
okay.
So.
Okay, you're still under your report. You got strategic planning update and a mission statement.
Yes, sir. Very quickly, 3 or 4 sentences on this. Strategic planning is moving forward. I am working with a colleague to lead the strategic planning, but it is on a slow track. And it's on the slow track because the New Mexico Department of Higher Education is about to release a statewide strategic plan for higher education, and they want the college's strategic planning process to be in alignment with the state. So what we're doing is we're moving strategic planning along, as well as our mission review, which will be all part of that same process. But we're sort of waiting to get the information from the state so that we do not go too far astray in our own strategic planning, and because otherwise they will kick it back to us and we'll have to do it again. So anyway, that's the update on that.
Okay. Athletic report, I guess Millen's up.
Yes, I certainly, Mr. Chair and members of the board, we have on the phone with us Millen Rasick. He is the athletic director, and he's going to talk to you just a little bit about what's happening in the world of the athletic department. Are you with us, Millen?
Do you all have me?
There you go.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Am I coming through loud and clear?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Thank you so much. And appreciate the opportunity to give you a little bit of an overview and a heads up on some of the things that we've been working on as a team. Emphasis on a team, and that acronym, of course, is together. Everyone achieves more. And with a lot of the energy and enthusiasm that's been generated on campus with the recent transition and administrators in the places where they could impact and affect many changes, we're very, very lucky to be exploring the world of National Junior College Athletic Association opportunities, and hopeful that we're going to keep checking the boxes on the trajectory to be able to realize full membership with the association as soon as February of this year. And of course, one of the initiatives is to grow enrollment at the college through campus clubs, groups, organizations, and athletics. And the NJCAA is the only national collegiate athletic organization dedicated to 2-year college athletics. And we believe that it can help the college generate a great profile within our region of the state, throughout the state of New Mexico, and the southwest region of the country, and most specifically NJCAA regions 5 or 9, where we aspire to land as a member school and compete against like colleges in one of those respective regions. So we are actively getting through that process. One of the foundations for an athletic program is to really create opportunities and develop young people while maintaining the student athlete equation in balance. And we tell our students all the time, you realize a better life as you determine the good decisions that you make along the way. But we need to be able to give them guidance in critical areas and help them develop great attitudes, realistic, attainable goals, priorities, think well, stay committed, develop relationships, and grow and determine their own values. And a lot of these principles and foundations for life can be realized through the competitive experience that they can gain through intercollegiate athletics. And the big time is where you're at, and the big time is Mesa Lands Community College, and the landscape is terrific to develop sports like cross country and golf. To go with the nuclear sport of rodeo and the long-standing tradition under the NIRA umbrella, but But golf is in the development phase, and of course, cross country is a very, very popular sport where there's a tremendous representation of young men and women in the state of New Mexico that can compete in that activity. And obviously, with what the school has to offer from an education standpoint and supplemental areas for students to enjoy, we believe that we can attract some quality young men and women to take advantage of an opportunity to attend a college and be a student first, and then of course take advantage of a competitive opportunity in those areas. And on top of that, as Dr. Bush and the committee have been very active with the Esports Developmental Program and NJCAAE, which is an arm of the National Junior College Athletic Association, and exploring the offerings that NJCAAE has as it relates to esports and the various titles that are offered in a similar format where regular season play, postseason play, and championship recognition, much like sports, is offered through competing in this emerging activity at 2-year and 4-year colleges throughout the country. And as we've continued through the process for pursuing the membership with the NJCAA and their national office staff, we have been doing the same along the lines of staying connected with the NJCAAE folks as it relates to giving them an overview and what Mesa Lands Community College would have to offer that association, background on the institution, and our intent to join, and what we have in terms of support institutionally within the community and otherwise, how much we value the student-athlete equation, the support and the safety component, general welfare for these people that would be contributing on an esports platform very similar to intercollegiate athletics. Facilities reflect the commitment to the program. We have the facilities in place and other things in the works with some dedicated people on campus that are ready, willing, and able to assist, keeping everybody informed, staying, purposefully direct, transparent, being prepared to answer questions. And of course, along those lines, a dedicated area for these sports and esports to support those that choose to participate. Recruitment and retention components, compliance, eligibility, budgeting, financial aid, all things that are very, very important. And most especially, with these kinds of activities and incorporating a lot of people into this type of movement comes also responsibility to give back to the community. The outreach component is vital. We're having those discussions and conversations routinely and regularly with members of the community. Some great recent dialogue with Mr. McKinney, Mr. Johnson, and Coach Ferguson as it relates to what we believe the college has to offer and the partnership that we want to pursue with the community and the local schools as we try to grow our profile through athletics and esports. I hope you can hear the enthusiasm and the energy and the hope in my voice. We've got a lot of great people on board working in hybrid positions, offering their expertise. The folks already in place, and of course, the popularity of rodeo, the development of golf, and hopefully cross country and esports. It's a great time to be on board with it. We're excited about the opportunities and challenges all these things represent, but we're prepared to go with a lot of momentum, a lot of energy, and everybody's support is needed in this endeavor. But we look forward to what the process entails, and with a lot of optimism. So thank you for hearing that.
Great. Thank you, Millen. The structure organizationally is, of course, like any other college. So Millen is the athletic director, and then he has coaches that work with him and develop that. So December is the month that we are required to provide you with an athletic report, which is, you may be scratching your head and wondering why, but it's on the schedule. So we have two of the coaches here tonight to also give you a brief background on what's happening in their sports. First, the one at the top, who from here looks like he's 12 years old, but that would be Mr. Hughes. So do you want to update us, Matt, on how rodeo's going? And am I the only person that thinks you look like you're 12 tonight? So anyway.
That's a compliment. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
go
sir.
for it.
Okay. So I'll start out by saying this semester in the fall, I had about 23 to 24 students. And I don't have an exact number because I usually take a couple students in that are not on scholarship. However, the plan is to get them on scholarship, like talent wise, they may not be there. But the plan is to go ahead and have them enroll full time and start practicing with us, stuff like that. I actually successfully have two that I did that with last year that are now on scholarship, and one of them's qualifying for the college finals right now. So that's kind of cool. He came from not being even talented enough to be on scholarship to now he's one of my best guys. And so we have about 23 right now, and that's good growth over last year. Last year I was at 17. And I was down a little bit last year just because of the whole COVID thing. It was times were a little bit unsure, and it didn't kill us. It definitely hurt a lot of other programs a lot worse than it hurt us. And that speaks a lot of the administration, stuff like that, to keep things going, to allow me to keep working, stuff like that, keep recruiting. And so therefore it didn't hurt us that bad. But we are back up to now. I'm back to where I was 2 years ago. And so hopefully I can keep building on that and kind of pick up where we left off. But so this coming in the spring, I have one new girl coming. She's a transfer from Tarleton State, or from Tarleton in Stephenville. And then I think I've got two new guys signed coming in the spring. So that's kind of unusual. You don't usually have a transfer in the middle of the year. So to have three of them is, it's good. It brings its own challenges in a way. It's almost a double-edged sword because you have to jump through a lot of hoops with credits, like credit hours, stuff like that, in order for them to be eligible next year. However, 3 more students, I'll take them. But we are, and I'm glad to say this, that we're not in first on both sides, men's and women's, but we're right there at it. And every year I've been here, so far we've grown scoring points, we've grown in team numbers, and the very first rodeo we went to, we won by a long shot. Like there wasn't anybody even close to us. And then since then we've fought the same struggle that a lot of other college rodeo teams do. But, I lost 2 of my good bull riders to injury. I lost 2 of my bronc riders to injuries. And they should be, one of them had surgery. I had a calf roper tear his quad in practice. He won the first college rodeo. And then the first practice after that college rodeo, he tore his quad muscle. So he didn't even get to compete at our rodeo or Las Cruces. And so those are some pretty big points, point earners on our team that we're still in the middle of the fight. I mean, we're third right now, but we're only at just couple hundred points out of first. And to say that, and we have about 50% of my points team competing, that speaks a lot, because come spring, as of right now, they're all healthy. So I've got one that's in physical therapy, one that's just getting out of physical therapy. So they all should be healthy by the spring semester. And in March, we've got 7 rodeos left, so we have plenty of time to do it. And on the women's side of thing, we've scored more points this year than Mesalands has in the last 6 years. So our women's team's doing very good, even though we are light on numbers. That's going to change, but points wise, we are more competitive now than we've ever been. So we're getting the right women's team. We just need to add to them. And so on the expenses, the financial side of things, expenses are up. I mean, everything's up. All cost of a lot of stuff is up. However, with that, I have been working with some companies on some team sponsorships as far as getting their name out. And because if you notice, just about every one of my students posts their videos of our practice. And so I have some companies that are looking at hanging some banners year round in our arena and just doing some stuff like that to help give us some monetary, just some supplies, stuff like that. So anyways, I'm looking at kind of adding on some stuff like that to help compensate with some of the high costs of some of the supplies. So second part of the season starts in March. We'll start practice in January, but our first rodeo is in March, and we've got 7. So it'll be a busy spring semester. But I'm looking forward to it because since our first rodeo this fall, we haven't had our full team competing. So I'm looking forward to having everybody back and hopefully finishing the semester finishing the season just like we started out the fall semester by winning everything. So that's what I look forward to.
Good deal. Thank you, Matt. And I just want to say thank you. You've done a wonderful job with the rodeo team as always. And I think the board would agree with me in saying that we're all incredibly proud of all of our athletic programs and the development of, under Millen's leadership and others as we get a stronger athletic department. Lastly, as far as coaches go, is our newest coach. Just to give us a little bit of a heads up and explain what in the world he's coaching. And that is, of course, Larry Wickham's with us. And Larry is designated as head coach with the NJCAA for esports. So he is the head coach of that sport. He can explain a little bit about the structure and then some of the other kinds of coaches that work within esports. Larry, do you want to sort of tell us what esports is about?
Absolutely. So in true esports fashion, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I came a little more prepared this time. And so the esports program is in its infancy. We're looking to build it. Initially, we have some initial goals with the esports program. We want to create an inclusive athletic program for our students. Are you guys getting that really bad echo?
Yes, sir.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Okay. So we want to create an inclusive athletic program for our students, and I'm still hearing echo.
We're not. You're fine.
Okay. I have multiple streams going at the same time. It's probably just my streams. Okay. Starting over, when I say inclusive athletic program for our students, esports is one of the only programs out there that as long as you can play the game, you can participate. So it doesn't matter your gender, your disability, your race, anything. As long as you can play the game, you can play esports. Esports also prepares our students for modern career paths, and that's one of our major goals. And our next goal is to have a varsity team by fall of 2023. This is very ambitious with a new program just starting out, but that is where we've set the bar. I know a lot of people ask why esports, and so I tried to kind of boil it down into some of the bigger bullet points. According to Activate Technologies Media Outlook 2021, during shelter in place, esports were sports for many consumers. As a lot of people were stuck at home, the only way that they could really participate in any kind of sport was through esports. Going forward, esports will be a major global catalyst for interest in interactive gaming, technology, and entertainment experiences. Things like in-game concerts with now Meta, formerly Facebook, moving towards an online experience. That's where the world is heading. And esports plays into that. Esports also supports new and existing program initiatives, including graphics design, 3D animation, and computer science. So when students come to us looking for the academic side of things, this is what the degree plans that they'll fit right into with esports that kind of complement. That's not to say that an agricultural student isn't good at playing Rocket League. Really building on some of the programs that we already have and possibly adding more, communications, video production, the list is endless. Esports is also a fantastic way to reach students in a space they want to be, while rewarding positive behaviors and skill development. It encourages them to form social bonds and find community while pursuing something they care about. And again, skill building for next generation careers, such as conceptual thinking. One thing that I didn't really think about until I really got into esports was the FAA actively recruits esports participants because they have that spatial awareness where they can think of things in 3D space and know where things are and moving within 3D space by just looking at a screen. And like other athletics, esports also builds teamwork and leadership skills that are also valuable throughout our lives. Esports is also the only athletic program that supports distance education. I've confirmed this with the NJCAAE, and as long as a student can log in and get into the game, they can participate. So if we have a student in Maryland, for example, who is attending classes online here at the college, they can also participate on the esports team like any other student that was on campus. Esports is also emerging in the high school area. So this is to support new and incoming student athletes. Albuquerque Public Schools has a very successful esports program throughout all their high schools. I believe La Cueva is one of their better schools for esports. So again, who else is participating? UNM and New Mexico Tech both have teams that are competing. New Mexico State has a club. That big yellow box you see on your screen right now is a list of all of the NGACAAE schools that are participating. Soon to be on that list will be Mesalands. And to put it in perspective, there's about 125 schools on that list, and I believe Rodeo has 137 schools. So it's growing and growing fast. And this is, again, is just the NJCAAE section, so that's 2-year colleges. That doesn't count North American Collegiate Esports, which has a ton more schools that are in the 4-year space. In order to support esports, we need an arena, and the arena will have multiple goals and benefits that it provides to the campus. Number one will be our on-campus competition. When our team competes, they will be in the arena and they will be competing on campus. With the exception of the distance students, should we get some in there. It also serves as a practice space for our varsity team. When not in use by the esports team, it's also a study and recreation area for students, and it's also a destination in the community. Many people have probably noticed there's not a whole lot to do in Tucumcari, so let's add one more thing to the list of things to do in Tucumcari. Working with Spectrum Furniture, I've been able to build had them build a couple of 3D renderings of what the space could look like. In the strategic plan that was presented a couple board meetings back, the A219 was identified as a space, and that's what I've been working from. So I have a couple of pictures here of what the space could look like. And that's what the computer setup looks like. We've actually got some of those already installed in A108 for graphics design. Any questions?
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate you taking time to go through that. And thank you, Mr. Chairman and the board, for the opportunity for us to share the good news of what's happening as Mesalands becomes a real leader in athletics. Again, just total applause to our 3 coaches that we have. We have 2 of them with us tonight, with Matt, with Larry, and of course with Marty Garcia, who's been doing our golf work as well. So kudos to all of them. We're very proud of them, and they're really bringing a lot of national focus again to Mesa Lands. Enrollment is very important, and in fact, in the new funding formula of New Mexico, enrollment will be one of the leading indicators defining how much money we get as a college. As these men and women come together and grow their esports programs, they will increase the enrollment of Mesa Lands, and this is going to be a critical piece to us as we look forward, and not only athletically but also financially for the college. Okay, that's all I've got on that. We'll try to keep the meeting moving for you. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining this part of the meeting. And a Merry Christmas to all of you. I know you're.
Take care.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the last item that I have on my agenda is to follow up on an issue that came up in our last meeting, which was to introduce to the board a revised policy. Policy Title 5.5, Weapons and Explosives on Campus. This is your exhibit number 4 in your packet. And this exhibit, once I find it, very simple modification to it. Under New Mexico law now, it permits the president to authorize individuals on campus to be carrying a weapon. Under the previous policy of Mesa Lands, weapons were restricted to law enforcement officers or students who may be in law enforcement education programs. So it did not permit the college to have a director of public safety who may be armed on the campus to provide additional levels of security. The policy that's before you tonight, and I'm asking for your approval, does that. It does have the safety system built into it that in order to be permitted to carry a weapon on the campus, you would be required to receive presidential permission. So and be authorized to do so by the president. So that's the policy, sir.
Okay. Questions, anyone? Okay. If we don't have any questions, do we have a motion to approve this?
Dr. Bush, that the way I read it, that also includes that would include concealed carry permit holders. Is that correct? Under your permission.
Let me look at it again, sir. It's actually gotten sort of mixed up in my packet here. I apologize. Let's see. The exception would be for law enforcement officers authorized with materials with presidential purposes and individuals permissible under state law and authorized by the president. So yes, sir. Yeah. If it were someone with a concealed permit, they would be permitted because the state does permit that, but they would be still required, like anybody else, to receive permission from the president. The president would be aware, in other words, that they were concealed carry.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the policy?
So move.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Roll call, please. Margaret? Margaret?
Sorry, I was muted. I was talking away.
I thought maybe you were asleep.
No. Was that Tom that seconded that motion?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jimmy
All
made
right.
the motion and Tom seconded.
All right. Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Miss Estrada,
Yes.
Miss Estrada, Miss Stevenson,
Yes.
Mr. Streetman,
Yes.
and Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, you got something on payroll support services, Dr. Bush?
No.
Yeah, you do, according to this. It's an action item, so you're going to have to explain it to us.
Dr. Bush, would you like me to go over that item?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chair, that was my plan, was to ask Ms. Dillard to answer this question for you.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. So if you will look at Exhibit 5, you will see a spreadsheet that shows you 3 different quotes we received from 3 companies. The first company is ADP. The second company is Payday. And the third company is Paycom. And under the first 2, ADP and Payday, they have provided a detail of what the payroll processing will consist of. So you'll see, and we'll use ADP as the example, payroll processing, and this is using 88 employees, which was a number provided by our HR specialist to them. So to process 88 employees, it'll be $5.25 each a month. And you can compare that to Payday, and their cost to do that is $7.70 a month per employee. And Paycom didn't provide us detail, just the annual cost. And then in addition, they will provide time and attendance pricing, and the price per employee varies from $5 with ADP to $2 with Payday. And then enhanced HR processing, which would include setup costs for new employees and any other additional setup requirements, monthly or annually. And then the payroll tax filing, reporting, and deposits. That would include federal 940, FUTA filing, state payroll, and that would be for any state that we may have an employee working for us. We currently have some adjunct faculty that live in other states. And then Form W-2, Form 1040, courier delivery, and they'll also provide employment verification services. And then at the very bottom of this spreadsheet, you'll see a 3-year pricing year, and it's broken out by year. And if you look at the grand total for the 3 years, ADP comes out as the lowest quote at $50,633.50, and the highest is Paycom at $52,500. So with the detail that ADP and Payday provided us, we have a good comparison. Their prices are very close, with just minor differences for, particular services. So this, we are requesting action by the board to help us in selecting one of these 3 companies to become our payroll processor. Excuse me. So I would ask for the board's approval. I do know that other colleges in the state use both ADP and Payday, and they have nothing but good to say about them. I haven't heard much about Paycom. So the only thing I would say, in my opinion, I would say ADP appears to be the best in that it's the lowest of all the three bidders, and it provided us a detail as to the services that they'll provide for the college. And if you have any questions, I will try to answer those.
Well, I'm going to throw one at you right now.
Okay.
This is based on 88 employees, and we just got through being told we have approximately 140 employees.
Yes, I do realize that.
So this is definitely not going to be accurate. I'd like to know a little bit more about where do we know where it's going to go?
Well, I would say that it would be, for instance, if you look at payroll processing, it would be $525 per employee. So we know for certain that's going to raise that amount.
Well, if you look at the number of employees, when you increase the number of employees, doesn't that cost go down?
Well, it would in some cases, but not, I don't think it would where, they're charging a per employee price.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't answer that. And I can't answer why there's a difference of 88 versus whatever was reported earlier,
right.
Over 100 employees. I would think our payroll specialists would know the number of employees that are paid on a bi-weekly basis. So I felt confident in this information.
Didn't that other figure earlier talk about contract employees?
Okay, that would be.
It also included contractors. It included it included work studies. It includes a whole bunch of other people that might not be what was being counted in the number.
Yeah. Okay, this would be just this wouldn't be vendors. This would be just payroll.
Yes. Yes, let's just take care of payroll. Remember the origin of this issue was that we have both full-time and part-time employees working out the state, and in some cases, cities, counties, and states have different tax brackets, but we're not set up to be able to understand how much to withhold for taxes and what the tax laws are with different states around the country.
Right.
So this was the recommendation to us from several of the colleges in the state who are faced with the same problem.
And I don't know if we could change the action item request to, we can come back in. What we do need though is the ability to proceed. And we can ask for an updated or revised quote if indeed the number of employees is not 88.
Right. I think that's what we need. I think that's what we need to do. But I think what we need to do right now is we need to give you approval to move forward with this. But we'd like clarification on what the exact amount's going to be, and we can get that on the next meeting next week. But for right now, I would say, looking at the cost at us right now, 88 appears to be the more reasonable of the three. I would say let's go with 88, knowing that bottom line figure is going to has to be adjusted and probably will be up. I'm going to say probably at least 10,000 from where it is, so it's probably going to be looking closer to $60,000 instead of 50. But I would like clarification on that.
And Mr. Streetman, I will provide that as soon as possible. I don't know if it'll be next week because I would say these numbers are accurate because this is what HR has been paying our staff. I'll ask her. We do have a payday on the 30th, and I will reach out to Tammy and ask her if she paid more than 88 people.
Okay. Let's. I'm not quite sure how we would want to word this thing, but I would say let's go with ADP. Okay. And the rest of the board, folks, what do you think?
I have a question on the difference between ADP and payday. It shows 3 years what happens the fourth year? If you look at the third year, ADP is quite a bit, about 2,000 more than the other one. Is that going to continue going up, or is that?
Well, that's a good question, Ms. Stevenson. We do have, which I don't think was included in your packet, an actual what was called a sales order.
Right.
And then from that, the spreadsheet was created. ADP does note, and we have reached out to them for clarification on their in their sales order, that they would in the third year also give us the same price, but we can't confirm that yet. So there is language to lead us to believe that. And Veronica Gonzalez has reached out to them for confirmation of that amount. But in another way to answer your question is, I would think it would be fair to say that most likely the cost will rise somewhat from year to year.
Well, I realized, I just wondered how, comparing the two, how it went down from year one.
You're talking about payday?
Yeah, and with ADP, it went up that third year, so I just wondered if that trend is continuing or not.
It looks like if you look at the top on ADP, you're getting a promotional discount of $2,700 a year for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason you're paying $15,970 for the first 2 years. So you're not getting a promotional discount on the third year. Is this a 3-year contract, Natalie?
No, it just gave us a price. No, what we did in order to follow procurement policy, we just sought quotes because of the because it's under 60,000. All we needed to get was a quote. So these are sales quotes, and they provide us 3-year quote. And then if you look at Paycom, their cost is steady each year.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's no discount.
No.
Let me ask this question.
Okay.
So at present, we have somebody on the staff that does the payroll and everything that this contract is going to do.
Yes, sir. We do. That is Tammy Hall, who's our payroll specialist.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And so if we get this contract, then who monitors it? Who's actually doing it? This company ADP is doing that?
Yeah, yes, they are. Now, Tammy will still have a role in ensuring the accuracy of the the payroll information, new employees, when employees leave our employment, making sure that all the withholding is accurate, weekly timesheets, and vacation leave and accrual and so on.
Okay.
This will be a major benefit to the college in that Tammy Hall's time will be freed up. She is overwhelmed in trying to oversee payroll, which happens every other week, and also the duties of a human resource specialist, as well as assisting and overseeing the business office staff.
Okay. So will there be a cost savings if she's not involved in it now in any respect? What I'm trying to get at is is, what's going to be the net difference between the contract and then somebody on staff not doing this? Is there any difference or cost savings in that respect?
I think I could venture to say yes, there is, because Dr. Bush, along with myself and probably the rest of the VPs, Jim Morgan, I would say would concur. There is a need to have a separate person that just is responsible for payroll. So 50,000, a little over, even if you take the high end, 53, I think it would be equal to hiring a payroll specialist, or maybe even a better deal than having to hire a full-time employee.
Okay.
When you take into consideration all their benefits and such.
Does Chaz have any impact on this, Dr. Bush? As far as some other payroll specialists.
Yes. Chess would, yes. And in fact, this is something we discussed because it's very possible that, as they told you earlier today, we don't know what all of the components are going to be in Chess yet, but certainly human resources and a lot of those functions we are very confident will be. So this actually may be a temporary thing. It could be something that that we end up with, not an HR specialist, but even maybe just an HR generalist or something that would work in conjunction with Chess then to manage the payroll. Earlier they pointed out to you that one of the services, the business services that you frequently see in these collaborations of Chess is the consolidation of HR. And what we face right now, Mr. Sidwell, in HR is one individual who can only really work and do HR jobs in 2 weeks, because the other 2 weeks, it takes an entire week for her to do payroll. So she can't do anything else. So if you're having insurance issues, if we're doing a Title IX investigation, if you're hiring people, if we're posting jobs, if we're doing interviews, if we're doing anything else in the world of HR, it stops on the 2 weeks that she does payroll, because she can't do payroll and then run HR at the same time. HR is really a department of well more than one person, and this is alleviating that. Now, yes, sir, when Chess comes into play, I fully anticipate that a large chunk of what we just described as HR duties will fall into Chess, and boy, that'll be a glorious day, because it will involve hiring people with advanced certifications in HR management, and that'll be a really, really good thing for us.
Okay, thank you, Natalie.
You're welcome. I would just like to add one more that's related to Chess. By hiring a payroll service, it will also be a big benefit to the college, because they will ensure the accuracy of all our employee records as they pertain to payroll, their withholding, all the deductions, retirement, federal reporting for the college, and I could just go on and on. So this is almost like you're coming in and you're doing a clean sweep, and you're getting your records in pristine condition, and they would easily then transfer into that new system under checks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm kind of at a quandary as to what to do with this, because I'm doubting. I'm worried about the numbers, that we're getting the right information. this is reminiscence of Zanzibar, and I'm sorry, Natalie, but it's kind of reminiscence of Zanzibar. We were told one thing, and it became something else. I really would like to have some more clarification. I know you want to get started on it. I know how important that is for a variety of reasons, but I sure would like some more clarification on this, especially the numbers, because if you look at their number here at 525 and put that in and divided by one, or multiplied by 140, that comes up to 735. Reading this thing, it looks like this thing is an estimated number between 300 on the monthly cost up to 762. And if that's correct, then we're fine. We're right in the middle of that, so we should be okay. The annual cost, they have it. This is an estimate again. Is at 91.44, and when I look at that over here, that comes up to 88.20. So again, that's quite all right, but I just would like some better clarification.
Well, the one thing I can say with confidence is that we currently are paying 88 employees.
Okay.
So I would say that this must hold true if based on the information provided to these companies by our HR specialist. I don't know who all those other employees are. There is going to be fluctuation, though, in the number of employees if you were to hire more adjunct one semester than the next. If you have received more funding for federal and state work study and you hire more students, then that would increase our number. But it's not going to be for the long term. There's always going to be fluctuation and variation. But I guess I would bank on our HR specialist coming up with this number, since she does the payroll twice a month. Okay. And so I think 88 is a more accurate number than we have more than 100 employees.
Yeah. Well,
there would, excuse me, I apologize. The number will be slightly higher than that based upon, I know what you're saying is she's pulling and looking at what she's been paying out over the last several pay periods, for example, but we've recently hired several people who haven't started yet. And so with those new hires, that's going to push it into the 90s.
Well, and punching the numbers through, they give us an estimated annual cost of $18,692, and I come up with $18,120. So we're really close. We're actually under their estimates. Even if we added some new hires, we'd probably still be underneath their estimates on this. I guess, folks, which one would we prefer?
I had asked that question because there was just a discrepancy or a little difference on that third year, but I'm okay with the ADP, and especially if it might be a short-term thing for just a few years. So I would be okay with ADP.
It could be as short as 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
So do you need us to make the decision for the company to go with, or do we simply need to approve moving forward with either one of them?
I think that's what we need to do. We need a motion to move forward with either which one we want to move forward with.
Yeah, I think the board does need to select based on the amount.
That's right.
Which exceeds our approval amount.
Yes. Well, all of them do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's why it ends up in the board and not just something that was done administratively.
So I guess then let's just kind of do a little summary then. Who's in favor of ADP before we try to call for a motion? Who's in favor of ADP? Do we have a majority in favor of ADP?
I'm good with that.
Okay, Jimmy?
All right.
Okay, Tom?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anybody looking at payday? Okay. Let's back this thing up. And do we have a motion to have Natalie move forward with ADP on trying to get some type of a contract drawn up with them?
Yes.
I make the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Was that Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Yes.
And a second?
Who second it?
Okay. Jimmy seconded. And Margaret, roll call.
Mr. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Miss Estrada?
Yes.
Miss Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
And the motion carried.
Okay.
You're going to have to excuse me. I'm going to have to leave you guys.
Where you going?
Gotta go pick up my wife.
Oh, okay. Are you going to be back?
I don't know if I'll be back in time when you guys finish or not.
Well,
We'll be done about 5 or 6 in the morning.
no, we're not going to go that long.
Well, you guys,
I'm going to, Jimmy, take care. If you want to come back in later, we'll see if we're still here. If not, fine. You might
Okay.
just leave your, we'll have Larry mute your box and just leave it up. Can you do that, Larry? There you go. Catch you later, Jimmy. Just leave it like it is. Yeah, just leave it like it is. I would like to, everybody, I think we have read your reports. I would like for everybody for Dr. Roundtree and Natalie and Josh and Jim, whoever's left, just give us a brief synopsis of your report, please, so we can get this thing going. It's 9-something.
Well, Mr. Streetman, I do have some good news. I don't need to add to my report. Like you said, you've read it. I'd rather share some good news with all of you. So the New Mexico Corrections Department in this month, in December, amended our intergovernmental agreement. And we have an IGA with New Mexico Corrections Department to provide post-secondary and vocational education to the residents of Central New Mexico Correctional Facility, Western New Mexico Correctional Facility, Northeastern New Mexico Correctional Facility, Southern New Mexico Correctional Facility, the Penitentiary of New Mexico, Springer Correctional Center, and Roswell Correctional Center. So they amended this our IGA to reflect an increase of $66,000 in compensation payable to Mesa Lands Community College, the contractor, from $30,000, which was put into place in July, bringing the grand total to $96,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year. So I just want to share that good news.
Yes, ma'am. That's great news. Is that all the institutions or all the facilities in the state, Natalie?
Well, we are approved and do offer classes at all the facilities in the state, but when this was originally written, we did not have the notification. Well, we were approved for notification, but this is what it was. I'm sorry. At the time that all those facilities I listed, correctional facilities, were only the ones the state was managing.
Oh, okay.
Since that time, the state now also manages Santa Rosa, Guadalupe County Correctional Facility. So it also includes that.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah, so it would be fair to say all of them. Okay.
Thank you. It is good
And
news, yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep this thing moving forward, guys. It's getting late. Dr. Roundtree, you're up.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Streetman. And speaking of late, it's 11:13 in Ohio.
Oh,
so it is
geez.
really late here.
Yes,
So
ma'am, it is.
My voice is a little hoarse. I only have two items that I'd like to share. The first item is that I conducted 2 planning sessions with several faculty, students, and staff in the month of November, at the end of November after Thanksgiving. And out of those 2 sessions, we did the strategic planning for the next 3 semesters. So that's pretty significant when you walk into a position like I did, and there was no planning, and now we have planning for the next 3 semesters. So that is in a draft for Dr. Bush's approval. But what that does is several things. It helps with the faculty. The main thing we want to do is align our programming with what is going on in the classroom. It has to be synchronized so that the faculty can see the significance of what we're doing. So our student development program is significantly aligned with what we are offering our students. So if you have an opportunity to look at that, we also will share that once we get the final draft, we'll put it in a publication form, and we'll share it with people that have asked for that information already, like the Chamber of Commerce and other individuals out in the community. The second thing I want to talk about is our training within database. Mr. Bilopavlovich has trained myself and 2 staff members on database management. So we are working with the Chamber of Commerce to have every church, business, and organization in our database so that we can mail them email announcements when we have events on our campus. So that's a big step for us in the direction of community outreach. I said 2 items, but I'm going to just share one other one very, very quickly. And that is that we invited Jonas Moya. He is from Tucumcari to be our speaker at our Martin Luther King program on Wednesday, January the 19th at 12 noon in the great room of our campus. So you'll get a formal announcement. But I found out about him because he was in the news as receiving a presidential appointment as a state executive director of the New Mexico Farm Service Agency. So that is one of the highest ranking positions a person can receive in the farming agency. And so I wanted to read you his bio, but it just says really nicely that Jonas Moya was born and raised on his grandmother's farm and cattle ranch in Tucumcari, New Mexico. So when we send out information, please read the rest because he speaks very fondly of Tucumcari. And he is responsible for helping farmers stay in business and to keep the issue of farming and the importance of farming to the rural community up front. And so he has accepted my invitation to speak. And I've also have been working with the principal of Tucumcari High School. She is working with her band director to have the middle school and the high school available that day to play 1 or 2 selections at the program. So I thought that would be kind of nice to have the Tucumcari students also welcome a Tucumcari former resident. So you'll hear more about that program in the very near future. And that concludes my report.
That's good.
Okay. Mr. McVeigh, you're up, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll make this brief as well. Just want to highlight a few things. I'm super excited about the relationships that we're building in Tucumcari, as Millen highlighted earlier, working with the schools, of course, with our athletic programs. I've been working with Millen to build those relationships. Also, Esports development is exciting for us as well. There's surveys that are out there. We've been advertising for it and working with high schools across the state to encourage students to participate in the surveys so that we can have a better understanding of their interests across the state. We've also been able to work with New Mexico State University in articulation agreements. And we're very excited to partner with them, and they're very open to that. And of course, we've had those partnerships in the past. We'll continue to work with those partnerships into the future and just maintaining those, and a lot of excitement there. And also it's wonderful to partner with Region 9 and then also a good relationship with Region C as well as we continue to develop those relationships with our dual students and giving them opportunities, high school students opportunities to further their education and begin careers and lead the way in those careers into the future. So we've just had a lot of exciting things with relationship building and, of course, development of our enrollment and advertising. But again, you can read the report and get the good details that are there. But I just want to say thank you and very excited about the future.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, Mr. Morgan, you're up, sir.
Yes, sir. I also have a couple of points I'd like to make. They're very brief. About 3 weeks ago, we were going to be denied permission to modify our Building A the way we wanted to because the word bookstore was in the request. 2 weeks later, I finally had turned around HED, pointed out to them that history shows that if that is part of a major master plan project, then they have in the past historically been approving it. So it is now approved. So we're moving forward with, instead of a January meeting, December meeting, we will get a meeting in January to go over both of the capital projects that are in the Building A remodel. Also, looked like we were going to get some pallets of solar panels out of Arkansas. We did, in fact, get those to increase our number of pallets that we're going to be able to put up whenever we get ready to do our solar.
Cool.
Next, if you'll turn over to enclosure 6, that's the financial report. Exhibit 1 is the budget summaries.
Okay, yeah, I guess we can go ahead with it. Mary Beth Bush was up next, Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And
You could
financial
skip
report,
over
and then that. Do you want to just keep going? Keep going then.
Okay. If there's any questions, I'll be willing to answer them on the budget summary. Exhibit 2 is the CD investment report. Any questions on that? Closure 3 is the checks report, all of the checks written in the time period. And I do need action to approve the financial report.
Yes. Questions, anyone? Okay, if we have no questions, do we have a motion to approve the financial report as presented?
Liz
Yeah, I'll make
Estrada.
a motion. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay.
Liz Estrada. Move.
Okay. Liz made the motion. I guess, Tom, you're making the second. Is that correct?
I'll second whatever it was. I'll second it.
Okay, and then we'll do a roll call. Margaret.
Mr. Sandoval.
He had to leave the
He's
meeting.
gone. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
He left the meeting for a little
Yes,
bit.
that's right. He did. Mr. Streetman.
Yes.
Miss Estrada.
Yes.
Miss Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Mr. Morgan, you want to go through with the purchase requisitions you've
Yes,
got
sir.
here?
I will, unless Natalie wants. Do you have anything to add to it, Natalie?
Nope, Jim, you're doing a fine job. Keep on.
Okay, closure 7 is a requisition where we are paying for audit services for the college done by Clifton Larson Allen LLP. It is for an amount of $20,000. I or Natalie will answer any questions. If there are no questions, I need action.
Okay, this is, you've got several requisitions here, 7 through 9. It's all listed on one item. So they all the same thing? Audit contract. You've got one for 50, then you've got something else over here for,
The requisition is for the audit, which is going on right now, which is $20,000.
okay, but what's, you got,
Do we need to take separate action?
Yes.
Okay.
okay, we need to, yeah, we probably need to list these things separately then rather than bulk them up like we
Okay.
just did from in the future. So, okay, item
Yes,
7,
sir.
$20,000 for the audit services. Do we have a motion?
Teresa
I'll make a
Stevens.
motion to approve.
Okay. Tom made the motion. Teresa seconded. Is that good?
That's
sir.
good.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Mr. Streetman,
Yes.
Ms. Estrada,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson.
Yes.
Motion carried to approve requisition exhibit number 7.
Okay.
Right, moving on to exhibit number 8. Exhibit number 8 is for the equipment to do the esports arena, as Larry described to you. It includes the furniture as well as the first set of computers that he showed you in the presentation. The total there is $54,676. That's one way to go. Or we have a contract here where we can do it over payments. Larry, you want to chime in on that? Like the payments are $11,660.
Right.
For 36 months. So
I've been talking to myself. Sorry about that.
okay.
I'm sharing my screen here. There was an 11th hour revised quotation from the vendor. And the reason to bring it quickly is there is a price change coming in 2022. As with anything else, the price is going up. So if we outright purchase it in 2021, we're looking at $61,311.40. If we wait until 2022, it's $66,285.86. Because this arena was not a planned or budgeted purchase, I did obtain quotations on how much it would cost to lease it to reduce the impact on this year's budget. So to take those two quotations and work them into leases, it kind of spreads out the purchase. And I just need approval to proceed in any of these directions.
Well, the problem I've got is Exhibit 8 shows a balance of $54,676.52. It has nothing to do with any of those figures you just gave us.
Yes, sir. That was the original quotation for purchasing in 2021. However, the vendor did contact me and indicated that he omitted something on that initial quotation that he had sent. We wouldn't be getting chairs if we went with that price.
So now the actual quote is $61,311.40. Is this not correct?
Yes, that's to purchase it this month outright.
Well, this is going to come back to Dr. Bush because I need to know just exactly what your feelings are and how you want to go about doing this. Do you want to buy it outright or do you want to lease it? And I know a lease agreement's going to be a little bit higher.
Yes, sir. As a general rule, I do not like to put the college in extended indebtedness. It would be one thing if I were personally going to buy a car and I wanted to make car payments every month. But as a chief executive, I don't feel the same way about putting the college in indebtedness beyond what could be my term as president. So
Comment?
Yep, go ahead.
Historically, we used to turn over all of the computer labs by buying a new set of computers. And they were so expensive, we had to lease them in order to be able to afford them and upgrade the computers every 3 years. It's about 8% or so per year extra to do it by lease as opposed to purchase out. But we could not afford it. And this price is pretty steep. So leasing is the way to be able to do it, not just to like small payments. It's because if we don't do it with a lease, typically, can we come up with $61,311 out of the HERF money, I guess it's called, right, HERF?
Right. And that's, you're exactly right. And that's where I was going with this, is that I'm not, I don't, right now, this is an unexpected expense of significant caliber where we know that we're going to be facing other large expenses in the near future. So I do not have an objection to leasing this and keeping the expense down over a period of 3 years. So it can go either way with me. I'm fine with leasing it.
I would sorry, I just want Larry to clarify because my understanding was.
Can't hear you, Natalie.
I said, I think Larry maybe should clarify because when I spoke with Larry about this, it had nothing to do with the life of the equipment. It was more spreading the payments over a 3-year cycle rather than, so that's what I would ask for clarification on.
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with the life of the equipment. This is planning for the budgetary impact.
And this is a 3-year lease, or you've got 5 years laid out here.
So there are 4 years. If we begin the lease now, we would be paying across 4 fiscal years. Is why that's laid out that way.
Okay, I see that. Okay, right. I'm with you now. So we'd be paying out the monthly is changing each month then, correct?
So that would be the total annual.
That's
expense.
annual.
Yes.
So for 2022, it'd be $13,000
right
for that year.
And in 23, it'd be 22, and in 22, 24, and then 9 and 25.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, not in change each time. Okay.
The one thing I will say about paying it out over time is because he's looking at developing a team and the team's not there, having a smaller expense going out early makes more sense than having a high level expense going out and then not having a team yet. Okay. So spreading it out would make more sense by 23 or 24 when you're paying more money, you should have more athletes in the program then.
Okay. Well, then, okay. I guess let's go back to this. Let's start off. There's 4 of us here. Who's all in favor? There's Jimmy. He's back. Who's in favor of the lease? Are we all in favor of the lease? Everybody hold their hand up. Okay. Teresa, you're in favor of the lease? Okay. Tom, are you more in favor of the lease? Okay. Jimmy, are you in favor of the lease? Okay. I'll go along with that too. So do we have a motion to approve the lease of this equipment? And this will basically be Exhibit 9 we're going to approve. And it will be for...
Mr.
No.
Streetman?
Yes.
So Exhibit 8, if you don't want to pay it outright, could we go ahead and have a motion to deny that requisition?
Yes, ma'am, we should.
And then we could go on to lease to number Exhibit 9.
Yeah, I'm assuming Exhibit 9 is the lease. It doesn't quite.
It is.
Clarify
it is
that.
The lease. Okay. Exhibit 8 is paying it outright.
Okay. Do we have a motion to exclude Exhibit 8?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we exclude Exhibit 8.
Okay. Tom, and a second?
Second, Teresa.
Okay, Teresa? Okay, and roll call.
Mrs. Strada?
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Streetman?
Yes.
Motion carried to exclude Exhibit 8.
Okay. Exhibit 9 now is what we've got here is not going to be exactly right. So what we need to do on Exhibit 9 is we need to approve a lease agreement for a grand total of $68,357.16 paid out over 4 years.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I'm a little confused. You said Exhibit 9?
Yeah, Exhibit 9.
It's a requisition.
Tom, you're going to have to look at your screen and forget about the piece of paper you've got in front of you. On
Yeah.
the screen, Exhibit 9 on a lease agreement would be for a grand total of $68,357.16 paid out over 4 years.
Yeah. So do we need to exclude Exhibit 9?
No, Exhibit 9 is going to be
Amended.
$68,357.16 paid out over 4 years. This piece of paper we've got, it isn't correct because they were looking at 11,000 paid out for 4 years,
Yeah.
and that's not the same because that was at 51.
Well, the 11,000 was just for the remainder of this fiscal year for 7 months.
Oh,
Okay.
Is what that requisition was.
Okay, but okay, then
Yeah.
then we're going to have to come back. If that's the case, we're going to have to come back with the remainder of this next meeting, aren't we? Because this is not a true reflection of what that lease agreement is going to be. If
It's
this is
not.
only the balance of the end of this year.
Is Exhibit 9 talking about purchase through payments, whereas we're discussing a lease as opposed to a purchase?
This has got to be clarified, folks. And I'm just as confused as the rest of you right now. Margaret, you're telling me that Exhibit 9 is the balance of this year, 21.
Larry?
That was the original total without the
Okay.
chairs. So that number on that
Yeah.
requisition is incorrect.
Okay.
If we can get this on the agenda for the upcoming meeting,
Let's do.
I can get a quotation,
Yeah.
a formal lease quotation, and reformat everything and get it clearer.
Please, sir.
Yes. And so that requisition would actually be for 7 months for the rest of this fiscal year. 13,291, right?
We need the total lease agreement laid out, and it's
For
probably
the
going
whole
to have
total.
to, with the whole total, and it broke out
Yes.
per year. And let's do right now. Let's take Exhibit 9 and just table it until our
Okay.
meeting next week.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
we have a motion to table Exhibit 9 until next week.
Liz Estrada, so move.
Okay. Second, please.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
I did, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, Mr. Sandoval,
Yes.
Ms. Estrada,
Yes.
Mr. Streetman,
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson.
yes.
Okay. And the motion is made to table this until our next meeting.
Yes. You got Jimmy too, right?
Yes.
I did.
Okay. Good. Okay. I guess Dr. Bush, the other Dr. Bush.
Mr. Chair, in the essence of time, why do we skip that report and include it in January? It's not a critical report. It doesn't need to. You don't need to.
Okay, then we'll include that workforce development report for January meeting, and
in the future, you'll get monthly workforce development reports, letting you know what's going on within the economic development side and workforce side. But there's no need. It was just an introduction tonight, so that's fine.
Very good. Let's see here. I guess at this, we don't have any new business per se. I don't see any correspondence and informational items. We've got the college break. It's actually from the 20th to the 31st. Swearing in of new and re-elected board members will be January the 4th. The Board of Trustees calendar is Exhibit 10, and of course the Board of Trustees annual calendar reports is Exhibit 11. Okay. Folks, is there anything else? Jimmy, you got anything?
Nope.
Margaret?
No, sir.
Dr. Bush?
No, sir.
Teresa?
No.
No.
The next meeting is the 30th, right?
The 30th at 5:30. Yes, ma'am. Okay, Tom?
Thank you.
Okay, Tom? Tom? Looks like he froze up there. Liz.
No, sir.
Okay. Jim.
No, sir.
Larry.
No, sir.
Natalie.
No, sir.
Tom, are you back with us? Have you got anything, Tom?
Somebody is.
Guess not. Josh.
No, sir.
Dr. Roundtree.
No, sir. It's been a wonderful meeting.
Hey, yes, ma'am, and a long one. The other Dr. Bush, have you got anything you want to add?
I think
No,
her
sir.
battery died. Oh no, there she is.
I have just a tiny bit, but no, sir, nothing.
Yeah. Folks, I don't have anything else to add. Our next meeting will be on December the 30th at 5:30. We'll be looking at various things on that meeting.
Yeah.
I guess at this point, I don't have anything else. And if we don't have anything else, let's call this meeting adjourned at 9:41.
Just simply Merry Christmas to you all.